Good evening to you, Scratchy.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, one of the panel and viewers and subscribers.
Scratchy, once again, this argument has resurfaced. I thought it was dead, but Golding has brought it up in another way. He's suggesting, Scratchy, that the Prime Minister is keeping up arms house and that he is, is seeking to con people by not announcing that his salary, he was going to accept his salary. Firstly, Scratchy, has there not come a time for something to be said about the way in which the opposition leader speaks of the Prime Minister? The condescending, almost, dismissive way in which he styles the Prime Minister. Is this not going to hurt the politics, Scratchy, in terms of causing a greater divide? Shouldn't we not address that first?
Definitely, neighbor. That has been one of the most things that we have seen with this opposition leader, neighbor. Very divisive, neighbor. He's a man who causes a lot of riff in his own party, neighbor. Much less causing more riff in the wider spectrum or the wider range of Jamaica, neighbor. Mark Golding, neighbor, is someone, neighbor, who's very disingenuous, neighbor. Mark Golding is a flip-flop. Mark Golding is someone who agrees to one thing and then disagree at it the next time. So I think Mark Golding has reached a level near, neighbor, where he has been running around the country, neighbor, 2-3 years before the election was due, neighbor, running around the country with the same rhetoric. I think Mark Golding has been played out now, neighbor. I don't think anything that this guy comes is getting in the form of traction. When you look at where he's going, neighbor, to spread these type of narrative, these are space where we won't get any form of traction. When you look at some of these podcasts that he's going on, neighbor, I'm not going to get any form of traction from these type of platforms. You just run around and try to be relevant and try to spew something against the Prime Minister. Neighbor, one thing with Jamaicans, neighbor, don't tackle Jamaicans about them pay, and don't tackle Jamaicans about them house, neighbor. No matter what you want to come about the Prime Minister pay, neighbor. Jamaicans now look on that, neighbor. Jamaicans now worry about that. Jamaicans know still Jamaica is not a pocket watching place. So Mark Golding is hypocritical if you know that he was someone who also take the salary, but is disagreeing with the salary. And I often said about that Mark Golding have no real role or responsibility more than to turn up to Parliament and at Tuesday, 2 o'clock or whenever Parliament is keeping. But other than that, Mark Golding don't have to wake out in bed 7 o'clock and go to any office. Mark Golding can sleep out the whole day and never drink out the whole day and do whatever him please. Mark Golding has no real role. Mark Golding has no real responsibility. Mark Golding is someone who is the highest overpaid politician in the English-speaking Caribbean. So I tell you, Mark Golding come with these things, but he's been just expose himself more to be a hypocrite to Jamaicans, because Jamaicans are going to look into it and say, okay, you take your salary, so why this man if you take his salary? So right there alone, Mark Golding is defeated, neighbor. Jamaicans not buying into Mark Golding, neighbor. Him get played out right now. I'm telling you, no from attraction in that game.
Yes, but Scratchy, in doing that, he is creating a perception in the minds of Jamaicans, at least some people, that somehow the Prime Minister is not a man of integrity. I saw him say, accounting that arms house ma keep up. This is Jamaica and Scratchy, and that type of language doesn't foster harmony in the politics at all, Scratchy. And personally, I find it quite offensive for the opposition leader to be using those type of terms to discuss a very serious matter that relates to the Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Yeah, but when it comes to Mark Golding, neighbor, I don't expect nothing better, neighbor, from Mark Golding, neighbor. Mark Golding is someone, neighbor, who went to the politics, neighbor, and branded himself as a Tapanaris. The Prime Minister is someone who comes from humble beginning, neighbor. Someone who consider themselves to be a Tapanaris, neighbor, they tend to look down, neighbor, on persons who come from humble beginning. They might say reach a certain level in your life, and they might feel like you're not deserving of where you are because of where you're coming from and stuff like that. So that is the type of style Mark Golding is bringing back to our politics, neighbor, or trying to bring back that to Jamaica, where persons look down on person and feel that because of where you started, you're not supposed to be here. That is the type of leadership style that we're seeing from Mark Golding. And it is definitely not resonating, neighbor, because majority of us neighbors Jamaicans, the majority of us come from humble beginnings, neighbor. So whatever Mark Golding is trying to do with his Tapanaris style or his Tapanaris flow, neighbor, it is definitely not working. And whatever Mark Golding want to say, it's not gospel. Jamaicans don't believe in nothing that Mark Golding say. Mark Golding lost the election nearly 6-7 months ago. So there's nothing that Mark Golding can ever say able to make Jamaicans believe him or trying to buy into whatever he's saying about the Prime Minister. His rhetoric nearby the words that are used, of course, they are concerning. But I'm not worrying about it, neighbor. I'm not worrying about whatever I want to say. It's concerning for the level yes to know that this guy who is the opposition leader is so divisive. You know, he's so unjust or so unpatriotic neighbor in his language and not using his language to the best of his ability to make sure that he sends a message to the wider public where some form of calmness and something can move amongst our people. Very divisive neighbor. So I don't expect nothing better from Mark Golding. Mark Golding don't surprise me. I would be more surprised if I didn't hear him speak out against it or anything neighbor. Again, Mark Golding is a hypocrite neighbor and Jamaicans will definitely see him for that. And anyone who buys into what Mark Golding is saying neighbor, are persons who support Mark Golding and support Mark Golding and the People's National Party neighbor. No well-thinking Jamaicans neighbor is against the Prime Minister getting his salary. The only person who's against it are Mark Golding and him supporters neighbor. Yes, as Gustav said earlier, a lot of persons who support to call out Mark Golding and not call out Mark Golding because they're in line or they might be considered as proxy of the People's National Party. But we have to understand neighbor, we see what is going on around across the length and breadth of Jamaica right now. Every single organization neighbor that came out in public support of Mark Golding, they are collapsing financially, neighbor. Who is not offloading staff, is offloading building and moving to headquarters from there and moving headquarters to there. Neighbor, it's 1 p.m. and no matter how them try to attack him, they cannot win in neighbor. They are not benefiting. All of their proxy group neighbor, they launch media groups that support them. They launch this big attack against the Prime Minister. What have they gained from it financially? They have not gained anything from it neighbor. They have lost customers, they have lost revenues, and they are running around now like a headless fowl all over the place, neighbor, shutting down left, right, and center so that they can meet the benchmark and please their shareholders. So, neighbor, all of these persons who will go up against Prime Minister, neighbor, they all fall one by one, neighbor. They all fall one by one, neighbor. They cannot test him. They cannot try to smear him. They care what they are trying to do, neighbor, against him, neighbor. Right now, that group neighbor that is running all over the place, that media group, I can tell you that very soon, neighbor, the shareholders will be calling for the chairman of that group to step aside because they have seen, neighbor, what that chairman has done to that organization, neighbor, because of his support, neighbor, for the opposition. Never before have we seen any chairman of any organization like that, neighbor, come out and publicly support or endorse an opposition leader or endorse a candidate to become leader of the opposition, neighbor. That was very shocking to us at that time, so. All I can say, neighbor, that Mark Jefferson Golding, neighbor, is a big sore foot, neighbor, and everyone who supports him and everyone who's in line with him, neighbor, their life, neighbor, go down in some way, shape, or form. Case in point, if you look at Mr. Andrew, who are for himself, neighbor, and his service to them, neighbor, the guy come out and speak about something and see what happened to him, neighbor, and career die. Look at Damian Crawford right now. When Damian Crawford wasn't a candidate, neighbor, Damian Crawford was way more vibrant. Damian Crawford was way more upfront. Right now, we see Damian Crawford as a member of parliament when you would expect him to be more visible and be more vibrant. He's quiet as a lamp, neighbor, because of how them shun him in that party. So every single one, neighbor, who's around Mark Golding, neighbor, will not benefit in any way, shape, or form, neighbor. Only him and the current co-leader of the PNP. Because we have to also understand that the PNP is not led by Mark Golding alone. The PNP is a coalition. It is led by two persons. You have a leader and a co-leader. So, and they're the only ones who will benefit from this, neighbor. They are the only ones who are going to benefit it. Every single one who stands around Mark Golding, they all fall after, neighbor. And every single organization in Jamaica that supported and stand with Mark Golding, we're seeing with our own two eyes what is going on with them right now. They are all stumbling and falling. Crisis on top of crisis, neighbor. This is the hurricane, PNP, and Mark Golding is the head force wind that is coming to destruct everything that supports him and in front time. Cannot blow away the Jamaica Labour Party though, because we reinforce and we're stronger than ever.